LIRR officials hope that by instituting the temporary alcohol ban, they will also keep underage drinkers from the train. Police say the incident happened in this area on East Prospect Avenue in Cliffside Park. Now, police are still investigating, but they say Officer Franklin was trying to get some food at this Broadway Chicken when he was robbed and shot. We're joined now by Bergen County Executive Spokesman Brian Haig, who's at the Office of Emergency Management in the county. Brian, what do you know right now?
Well, Michael, there's not much at this point that nobody else knows.
There were reports of some car accidents with the plane. Can we confirm any of that?
Can't confirm it right now.
We're on the phone again with Brian Haig, the county executive spokesperson for Bergen County. Brian, were the kids at school when this happened?
Kids were at school. Fortunately, nobody was injured.
Location, location, location. They say that's the key to business, and for the mobile store, that happens to be a great selling point for them. Travelers say riding the rails this holiday season allows them to skip out on the gridlock and the hassle of holiday travel. Horsley says legislators have to be careful when deciding on which technologies to use, because he says they all have impacts on the environment.
Some of the floats have gone by. The scene here is absolutely crazy. It's pretty amazing. Stuff is floating in the air, people leaning out of windows. The crowd is so intense. It's louder than being in Giant Stadium.
I want to know if you think Pete Rose should be enshrined in the Hall of Fame. Not reinstated in baseball necessarily, but enshrined in the Hall of Fame.
He's paid for what he has done in the game of baseball, and he should be recognized for, what he did as a player.
Hasbrook Heights High School senior Courtney Del Vecchio has volunteered for more than 30 hours at a local hospital during her high school career. The school didn't require volunteerism for graduation, but offered her class credit for it. Now, her school is part of a new state pilot program that requires students to perform at least 15 hours of community service in order to graduate.
I think it's a pretty good idea because all the students get to get involved in the community. You think you're just one person, can't help, but you really do make a difference in other people's lives.
The 3-year pilot program includes 30 school districts statewide. 5 of the participating schools are in North Jersey, but many schools like Fort Lee High School already offer credit for community service.
High school should be a lot more than just learning what your subjects are all about and the subject matter. It really has to do with turning out a good citizen.
While opponents say it's not fair to force students to volunteer, Hackensack University Medical Center's Barbara Hopkins says volunteerism helps the community out.
It is exposure of younger people to the environment of the hospital, and I think it really does encourage some people to go into the healthcare field.
Whether it's state-mandated volunteerism or simply suggested by a school district, school officials and many students say that by volunteering at a place like Hackensack University Medical Center, the students get almost as much out of volunteering as the people they wind up helping.
You learn more outside of the classroom and in the real world.
I think everyone should just get involved in their own community.
Go! Up and to the right. Officer Joseph Bucko is training to join the Fairview Police Department. The Fairview resident has wanted to be a cop his whole life. He will hit the beat in several weeks, but before he does, he has to complete a 21-week training program at the Bergen County Law and Public Safety Institute. Bucko and the other recruits receive in-class training. They also follow an exercise regime. One of the most important parts of their training happens here at the gun range.
6, as fast as you can safely get those rounds to the target.
A lot of us never shot before this week. We learned how to shoot, where to shoot from, and the safe way to do it.
These are dummy rounds. We use these to try and figure out where the problem areas are.
Bucko gets one-on-one training with an instructor at the range.
They just evaluate us in the beginning, and whatever we need to work on, we get special attention on how to do that.
Clear your weapon.
The main thing the recruits learn out on the range is not how to shoot a gun, but safety when they're out here and when they're on the streets.
You're responsible to make sure that it's going to hit the target and stop, or there is a clear space behind the target that it won't injure anybody.
Before Bucko and his class of recruits leave the training facility in Mahwah, they are also schooled in how to safely handle their new office, a police car.
It will enable them to just handle normal routine driving, and also in those situations where they're making emergency responses, give them a better appreciation of the need to be able to turn at the right point, to control their speed, despite perhaps the urgency of getting on a call.
Training is nearly complete, and Bucko says he's excited. His lifelong dream to serve and protect is about to be reality.
4 more weeks and we're done, so I am looking forward to going out on the road.
In Mahwah, Michael Artsis for New Jersey News Now on New York 1. Tropical storm Ophelia could be heading our way. According to the National Weather Service, the storm's path remains a work in progress. At the very least, Garden State residents should expect high winds and showers late in the week. Gil Rosette from the New York One Weather Center has been tracking the storm and joins us now with more. Gil, what's the latest on Ophelia's strength and course? On guard and on patrol, the United States Coast Guard protects our waters, borders, and boats. In the New York metro area, the Coast Guard deploys mostly from their base on Staten Island. Fort Wadsworth is the largest Coast Guard station in the nation. Here they track, watch, and launch their missions. Since September 11, 2001, the Coast Guard has stepped up their maritime security duties.
We're out daily on the water looking for doing critical infrastructure patrols along with patrols of bridges.
Coast Guard officials say they couldn't have picked a better location than Staten Island for the busiest Coast Guard station in the nation.
It's set up perfectly here. We're right inside the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, so it's the entrance to the harbor that most of the maritime traffic comes through. It's a perfect setup point for our boarding teams to go out and do boardings offshore, and also for search and rescue. We're centrally situated.
The Coast Guard now works closely with the NYPD, but officials say one of the Coast Guard's best assets is the versatility of the organization.
We may be out doing a safety mission, and we can transition to a security mission immediately.
The Coast Guard members will board somewhere in the neighborhood of 12,000 ships and boats in New Jersey and New York waters this year. All the while, they monitor about 1,400 vessels daily in the harbor. The Coast Guard has the right to board any vessel at any time for a safety check.
We'll look for stowaways, we look for anything suspicious on the boats.
Meanwhile, Coast Guard members back on dry land on Staten Island work from the Vessel Traffic Center to give the crews a heads up as to what they might be floating into and what they should be checking out. It's just a regular day's work for the busiest Coast Guard station in the nation. Michael Artsis, New York One.